Caron Grossman, friend, author, breathwork facilitator, nurse, mom. I could keep going, but welcome to the Truthfully Tracy podcast.
Thank you so much, Tracy. Any opportunity to get together and chat with you is just the highlight of my day.
I feel the same exact way. There is a friendship with you. There is a mirror with you that I have not experienced with anybody else. There are things that we both have been through, conversations we have had, life experiences that I feel such a deep connection with you on.
Me too.
And so I'm just really grateful you're here today.
Me too. I'm thrilled. I'm so excited to see where this goes, and wherever it goes, there will be.
There we will go. Yeah. There. I mean, there's no turning back now.
Nope. We're here. We're here. Let's do it.
Okay. So much of this podcast is about truths, right? From our past that helped develop us into the person we are today. And you have so many beautiful truths, so many things. And so I want to start there. Why this book? Why are you sitting here today? What is your motivation to start to tell some of these truths?
Well, I'll tell you. I'll tell you truthfully, Tracy. I've always wanted to write my book. Always. I always knew I had a story to tell long before I even had a story to tell. I always knew that. And I had been working on a book before this one. It was really about when I first came in contact with somebody who had a heart attack. And that was my mom, who died at 39 of a heart attack. I was 13. After she was misdiagnosed over and over and over again. All her symptoms just discounted as a hiatal hernia, and never checked to see, is it a hiatal hernia or could it be something else? And those were the last words she said, was my hiatal hernia is acting up. And so my first book plan was really discussing my adolescence and grief and just all the pain that I experienced and the self-destruction and the rebellion and the anger. And there were so many feelings that at 13 years old, I had no idea what they were. And I just ran wild. And always seeking more of who I was. That was one constant in my life. I always wanted to have a greater sense of who I am. So I had been working on that book. And then in December 21st, 2021, surprise, I had a heart attack myself. And as I was recovering from that, I really felt like it became my responsibility to share that women often present different than men when having a heart attack. And that's where it started. Where it grew to was a whole other thing, but that's where it started.
Wow. Was there part of everything that happened with your mom that led you to go into the medical field yourself?
No. Not at all. Not at all. I never wanted to be a nurse. I never wanted anything to do with it. I never had a plan. I never had a plan of going to college. I never had a plan. There was never anything to work to. And I just kind of went in the direction. I knew I had to have a job. I knew I had to support myself. I knew I needed to have insurance. But no. And what made me become a nurse, a friend of mine asked me to coach her to be, when she had a baby. And it's like, yeah, I'm there. And when she called to have me come in, I describe it like a priest or a nun or something like that, where like all of a sudden this lightning bolt came down and said, I have to do this every single day. And so I wanted to become a midwife. And so I had to become a nurse. Never became a midwife for having babies. I became a midwife for the dying, but never for the birthing.
Wow.
Yeah.
So much of your journey has been sort of a play-by-play.
Absolutely. It still is. It still is.
Have you gotten comfortable with that?
Very much so.
Yeah.
Very
I can see how probably when you were younger, at 13, as a child, it was more of a survival mechanism. Like, and I can relate to that. Like, there wasn't really much future planning. It was just getting to the next day, right? But then there is a point where it's like, okay, I do have to pay my bills and I have to like be an adult.
Mm-hmm.
But even then, what were you doing before you were a nurse?
Well, I had attended bar. I was a waitress. I did all those things. And then I was tending bar over by Syracuse Developmental Center on the west side.
Mm-hmm.
And after work, all the people would come down to have a drink. And they're like, why don't you go get a real job? And they talked me into going up there, and I didn't know what I was getting into. And it was for the state. So, it was a good job, good insurance, like a lot of stability. So I said, okay. And that's where I went. And I did that for 15 years. And I actually graduated as a nurse when I was 36. I started when I was 31, and I finished when I was 36.
Okay. So as you're going through life, like during this time, did you think about your mom and her heart attack much? Was that something that...
It defined me.
Ooh.
It defined me. I was a motherless daughter, and everybody who came into contact with me knew that pretty quickly. And, looking back, even if I didn't say, oh, I'm a motherless daughter, my mom died, just my behaviors, if you had any sort of insight to trauma, you would recognize that my behavior was not always in alignment with a lot of stability. I don't know how else to say that. I was an angry person, but I don't know. I don't know. That'll be my next book.
That'll be your next book. I like that. Okay, we're noting that. We're bookmarking that right here.
Yes, we are.
And that's understandable. It's understandable, right? Like that shows up in, I'm sure, a variety of different ways. And your anger was incredibly valid, to be honest.
Absolutely. And I didn't know how to experience it or express it. And addiction was a huge part of my story. Initially with food. Food was something I had access to in a really early age. My dad baked, and so I was able to go into, everything. It said, do not eat, because it was always for other people. And so I learned to sneak and then condense and sneak and then replate and redo and make it look like I never touched it and blame somebody else. And so the sneaking and the lying became second nature, actually became first nature. It just became who I was. And then after my mom died, the eating became more, my body became more looked at. So of course I was more uncomfortable in it because it was getting larger. And so I became bulimic, and the alcohol and the drugs, and they all kind of came together. But the food was my core addiction.
Yeah. And I can relate to that so much.
Yeah.
And when the bulimia started, how old were you when the bulimia started?
Probably around 15.
And do you think that was a way to control your body becoming a woman's body, becoming larger? Do you think that helped you eat what you wanted to eat, or maybe a little bit of both?
There was a great release in the purge.
Yeah.
It was a release I had not been able to find anywhere else. And I was powerless. It was out of control. I tried to control. I couldn't control. And I was not a very good bulimic because I was very scared of ruining my teeth. I was very conscious of that. I had a lot of surgery on my teeth when I was younger. So that made me very scared.
Yeah.
So I was also very conscious of it. It's so funny what goes through your head.
No, I wasn't worried about my teeth. I was worried about my esophagus. That was a fear. But
yeah,
I mean, ultimately I had to have all my teeth replaced. So it's a valid consequence.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
But Yeah, the release. For me, it was anger like that. And from what you said, there's so much anger, but it also was a cleansing in a way. It was this way of, whew, I feel clean. I feel empty. I feel, don't know, nothing else gave me that feeling.
For a second.
For a
but
second.
then I'd go fill it.
Exactly. It was very, very temporary.
Yeah. Yeah. And, I don't know if anger, I use anger as a word because it's the easiest, most relatable, but it's everything underneath the anger. There was guilt, there was shame, there was betrayal, there was grief. Yeah, there was grief. That's a huge one. There was so much beneath it, but anger, the way I behaved was so angry that was just the easiest word. And it was justified. People understood.
Yeah. Oh, of course, right? She lost her mom.
Yeah.
So were people aware that this was going on?
Behind the scenes? Well, no, I don't think so. Maybe. Who knows what people know?
It wasn't talked about.
No, but nothing was talked about. So this certainly wasn't going to be the first thing.
Right.
So, yeah.
And then alcohol and drugs came into the picture.
Yeah.
Because it created it worked better. It worked quicker. It worked faster. It was cheaper. What?
Well, I love to black out. I really love to black out. This is so funny. This isn't the direction I thought we were going. So I was a Jack Daniels drinker.
Okay.
And I liked the quickness. I liked the blacking out. I liked, I held myself very, very tight. And one of the phrases in recovery is to wear yourself like a loose garment. I still have trouble wearing myself like a loose garment. I still hold myself very tight, but it's always a goal, and I always practice it. And when people would tell me things that I did, I felt like I was letting go. Like I was, it gave me that release to...
that makes sense.
But I also used to control drugs. Like I remember taking acid with a friend of mine. And she was like so into it and having a great time. And she's going, look at this. Isn't it beautiful? And I'm going, I'm going to sit right here. No, I'm going to control this. I'm not going to look at that. No, I won't. And Kira, you take this so you can lose yourself. And I tried to control it. So
I just had that conversation last week with a couple of individuals, one's in recovery from opioids, one's from alcohol. And it's crazy that we're seeking that control, right? Yet those coping strategies place us out of control, right? It's actually doing the exact opposite. It's creating more chaos in our lives and
so much more.
But when you're stuck in that loop, you have no idea that's what's going on. And so what was it about blacking out? Like, explain that to me. Like,
I didn't feel anything.
So it just numbed.
I didn't feel anything because even when you use drugs and alcohol and food and relationships and all those things, I don't know about you, but I still felt.
Yeah.
Like I still felt. Whether I felt like shit or I felt like shame, I was still feeling yucky things. And so to be in a position where I felt nothing, that hours passed, sometimes minutes. I mean, yeah, they were dangerous. I woke up in some really ugly situations, but it was still better than what I was doing. Now, this is all in my adolescence.
Yes. Yes.
So that's...
And at that period, it's like you put yourself in those situations to sort of recreate those types of feelings, like that shame, you put yourself in dangerous situations, and once again, something we do unconsciously, to recreate patterns or to recreate feelings. And so what stopped this? What?
It tempered more than stopped for a long time.
Okay.
I had my daughter when I was 23. And that was another, I have these moments in my life that were aha moments that were not my thoughts, were not my ideas, were not like the nurse, becoming a nurse. Like that was not my plan.
Like a download care.
That was not my plan. So, I will tell this story. I was never having kids. I remember sitting with a friend of mine at TJ Big Boys or whatever that place was. And we were talking about neither of us were ever having kids. We're still friends. I saw her yesterday. And I was at a party. It was an after party. And all of a sudden, I hear this voice. I have beer in my hand, a Marlboro going. I mean, I was like 22 years old. And I hear a voice that said, "You're going to have a baby." And I went, I'm looking around going, what? And I hear it, and it's loud. And I believed it. And there was a guy that had been wanting to go out with me for a while. And I said, "Listen, here's the deal. I want to have a baby." I can't believe I'm going to tell this story. I said, "I'm ovulating on this day. We can go 3 days before, 3 days after. There you go."
Look at you controlling.
And I know, right?
That
Surprise. Surprise. I know. I never really looked at it that way. And he's like, "Okay." And I got pregnant.
Wow.
And I never looked back. I never got scared. I never doubted it. I never, ever doubted it. And I had a daughter, and she's changed my life. So I had to change things. I had to change things. I couldn't do what I was doing. I had responsibilities. And I think that's part of why she came into my life, because I was killing myself.
Yeah.
I was just killing myself. And, when you have something that is the worst thing that could possibly happen to you, what could possibly be worse? Consequences didn't matter to me, because nothing was going to be worse than that.
Yeah.
And so when I had my daughter, things had to change. And they did. And I was able to, the food didn't, that still was an issue, ongoing for years. But the alcohol and the drugs, they showed up here and there, but they weren't a problem.
Mm-hmm.
They really weren't a problem. So with my daughter and with food, I became 275 pounds, because you have to understand also, I was dying at 39 of a heart attack. Right. Like my mom did. Like I didn't think I had a choice.
Mentally.
I didn't think I had a choice. And I also didn't think I was worthy of living past that when she couldn't. And so when I was 36, my daughter was 13. And I knew I couldn't leave her with what would have been left.
Right.
And so I started making changes. I started making changes with the food, and I began to get healthier and making better decisions. And I had to change my relationship in my head, because I actually somehow or another graduated nursing school in the depth of my disease. I have no idea how that happened. Talk about some divine presence. I was 275 pounds when I graduated nursing school. I was not well. And I just, I had thought about like surgery, but I knew if I didn't change the thoughts in my head and my relationship, nothing was going to change. I would just find myself back there. And so I did get into 12-step program, and that was what finally helped me. And I had wanted to do that for years. I had tried. I had gone a couple times, and they spoke my language, and I said, "See ya." And so I started doing that, and I started getting healthier. And I made some big decisions that changed my life. And along the way, I had a son. And as he was becoming 13, I realized I really had to get my life in order. And that's when I quit alcohol and all other drugs.
Wow.
And it's been a good life out,
Yeah.
It's been a good life period, really. But
it's so interesting to hear people's stories, and because some people are able. I remember my grandmother was able to cut smoking and alcohol overnight, just cold turkey, right? And like, it was never that way for food for me. It was trial and error, back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And so, but it's, I see how your progression was like, you eliminated one coping strategy or got rid of one enough. And then you slowly worked on the other and slowly worked. And it's all this, right? It's all this, but it's also finding the trust within yourself that you can handle this big, bad world that we're in without these coping strategies, without the control, without the safety, that this human you have become by using her voice instead of being this, badass that you are, you can do it all on your own without food, alcohol, drugs.
Yes, and I'm not on my own. I do believe in a divine presence. I do believe in the support of so many people in my life. I know for a fact, I tried doing it on my own.
Yeah.
I tried for years doing it on my own, and I wasn't able to. And I still couldn't do that. People say something about, about my willpower, and it's like, no, my willpower got me,
so far.
Yeah.
Yeah. This
is like surrender. Like, this is just accepting that I don't have the solution. I myself do not have the solution. I need all of it. I need whatever, my creator, the divine. I need the support of some incredible people in my life. And, and it helps with my kids and now my grandkids, and life is so different.
Life is so different. There's no other way.
Mm-hmm.
You need that. I remember the night that Safe Space had sort of come in, like your nursing degree, right? That was one of the steps. Well, multiple steps. The one piece was higher power of some sort. Could be the earth. It could be, the divine. It could be God. It could be something is running this ship, right? Something has got you at all times. And then the other part was the community. Like, you have to trust in people. Like, I know my eating disorder was my best friend. Like, I had to start to trust in other people just as much as I trusted in my eating disorder. And that's what took decades, because that was like, wait, I'm going to show you all of me, and you're going to accept all of me? Like, and that was like layers, right? That was layers.
Yeah. Yeah. No, there's no way. I mean, there's no way I could, like, I'm so grateful I didn't just do this overnight.
Right.
Wasn't an overnight success. Like, because I wouldn't be able to handle where I am today, because I had no tools to do that. And you're talking about how people accept all this. We embrace it.
Yeah.
Like, we embrace it. And it's and because I'm truly who I am, and I believe you're truly who you are, I don't have to worry about getting caught. Like, I don't have to look over my shoulder and think, oh God, somebody's going to find out whatever. Like, this is it.
This is what you're getting. It's right here.
That's right.
It's right here. Took a lot of time to embrace this.
That's right.
No, I agree with you. Yeah. Like, no one's going to find out I'm a fraud, or that I'm pretending, or that I'm acting, and it probably goes back to when we were still hiding food and like that sort of growing up with that, mentality around the lying and the hiding. And then that aligns to hiding parts of ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and the crazy thing is, so much of that comes from the desire to being seen and heard, but don't see me and don't hear. And like, it was just such this crazy thing that we could not control. And I thought I could. And there's not much I can control.
No, actually, we really don't have much.
No.
We can control our reactions to things.
And sometimes even that I worry about, I've been dealing with this landlord situation, and sometimes I get nervous walking up to the porch to get my mail because I'm afraid I'm going to give the finger to the ring that's right there. And I haven't, and I'm not.
So this is this part of you. This is this anger, right? This, like, I see it as just a rebellious, like, 16-year-old. That's
yes, yeah.
And she's really important. And she's a big part of why I love you so very much. So she's got a place. It's just you now have to like hold her back. Like, no, we probably shouldn't flick off the Ring King.
But I don't know if I honestly don't know if I will or not. Every time I go up that, I just hope for the best.
It's the luck of the draw.
Yeah, it's so funny.
Rolling a dice.
It's so funny. But
I really love how real and raw you are, Cara. You get what you get with you, and that's what has always been so inspiring. And you own your story. And I think for others, me, but also others that have had any sort of addictions or maladaptive coping strategies in their past, there's a lot of shame that comes with that.
Absolutely.
And so when you can sit here and just be like, yep, I did it all. I dabbled in it all. It's just amazing. It's just brave and amazing. And that's why you're sitting here.
Well, and then I'm shown, given a circumstance, that I may go up and give the finger to something.
Yeah,
like I still am that whatever. It's still in there, which is great because it's all of me. You know, my cousin always gets mad that I'm not the rebel I used to be, and but I am.
But you are.
It's just a little different. And I think it's incredibly rebellious and disruptive to speak your truth in a world full of lies. I think that is incredibly. To call it out and to share that. And, we haven't segued into the book so much, but one of the things that I've gotten with this book are the people that come up to me that now tell me the truth about something, that they never shared before, or that they, happened years ago. And it may have nothing to do with what I said, but the fact I said it
triggered something.
And
you led with that type of vulnerability, which allowed them to then show up in their own vulnerability, right? And that is so much bravery. Garrett, somebody's got to put the first step out there. Somebody's got to call it out. Somebody's got to speak the truth. And you did this. And I think this is a perfect segue into your book. But I want to start with, did your mom show symptoms that were similar? Or
no, her symptoms were more of like a hiatal hernia. She had like upper gastric pain, reflux. I don't know what else either, though, because again, I was 13. How much do we tell our 13-year-olds what we're feeling? And I know she had plans to go to the doctor the following day because she died on Easter. She was going on Monday, and she left work early on Good Friday because she wasn't feeling well. And because her hiatal hernia was acting up. And so no, but even with her history of women dying young of heart attacks, she had a grandmother and 2 aunts that died in their early 40s, early 50s of heart attacks. It still wasn't ruled out. So I have no idea. I don't know. So it's something I've always had in my history. Like when I go to a doctor, they know, anybody, but like I said, everybody knows that my mom died of a heart attack when she was 39 and I was 13. And that was just something I led with. And it no longer, it's not my identity anymore. It no longer defines me. It's a part of me. It's a part of who I am. It's a part of my story, but it is not the biggest part of me. And so I'd always known women present different than men. Not so much as a nurse, but as just a person who grew up with that kind of mentality. And so like I said, I was going to die when I was 39, so may as well live it up. I didn't save any money. I ate what I wanted to eat. I did what I wanted to do. I just did, why fight genes? Right. It's genetic. So when my daughter was 13, I'm like, okay, let's make some changes. I started making changes, and then I made more changes. And I found out, I can live past 39. I can live past 49. I almost didn't make it past 59, but I did. And so I take really good care of myself. Over the years, I gave up sugar. I gave up gluten. I gave up alcohol. I gave up drugs and cigarettes. I gave up meat. I gave up dairy.
What were you eating?
I eat, well, you've seen me eat.
Just kidding.
I eat plenty. I eat several times a day.
Yes.
I eat a lot of food, and there's a lot of really good plant-based food.
Yes. You
that
take
I eat.
beautifully care of yourself.
Yeah, I mean, it means a lot. I take care of my stress. I move my body. My blood pressure's low. My cholesterol's low. I really live a life to not have a heart attack. I'll show you genetics, and so one morning I'm chatting with a friend on the phone, and we were coming up with some big plan. Neither of us can remember. And I had like this electric current go from my chin symmetrically up to my ears. It just went right up to my ears, and then it subsided. And I said, I'm talking so much, my jaw hurts. And we laughed, that was funny. And then I had an ache in the back of my neck. And I mentioned it, but that was it. Now, I have a parent that died of a heart attack. She has a parent that dies of a heart attack. Didn't occur to either of us this could possibly be a heart attack. I had heard about jaw pain. Like, there is jaw pain that is a symptom for both men and women. But I didn't know it was like an electric current. And it may not be for somebody else. That's what's so crazy about it. And so nothing about what was happening said heart attack. But I knew something was happening. And I don't know how I can explain that. There is no explanation other than I was quiet enough to hear what my body was saying. And, I remembered, I'm a nurse. I can assess myself, and I ruled out a stroke. I couldn't rule out a heart attack. And I thought about grabbing an aspirin because I've always heard just take an aspirin if you feel like you have these symptoms. I don't have aspirin. And I just started having these thoughts. My life didn't flash before my eyes, but the clarity of thought was the most present I've ever been in my life. And after about 25 minutes, I was like, diaphoretic, sweating. And I touched my forehead and I was like, oh, damn, it was clammy. And so I called 911 and I said, I think I'm having a heart attack. My symptoms do not reflect this. And they said, are you having chest pain, short of breath, pain in your left arm? And I said, yes, yes, yes. And I was having none of them, but I just could not take the chance of not being heard.
Wow.
And they were there in 4 minutes, hooked me up to an EKG, aspirin in the mouth. And they took me into the hospital, and it turned out my right coronary artery was 100% occluded. But there was nothing else in my arteries. Like, my arteries were clean. But this one piece of plaque, and the way my cardiologist explained it. Now, let me go back. A month before this happened, I had an echo, a cardiac echo, just for baseline, just because of my family history. Right. It was clean. And see you later. And so my cardiologist, the way he explained it is it's like a pimple breaking through the skin. And what it did is it was a pimple kind of broke through my artery, and it set off the clotting cascade, which this little 20% block turned into 100% within a couple days. And but still, nothing I felt was ever like a heart attack.
So if they had said, are you having all of these symptoms? And you had said, no, I'm not. My jaw hurts.
Yeah.
Do you think they would have put in the rush? Do you think they would have handled it the way they did?
I always wanted to believe they would. I really did. And I had a patient who was a 911 person. And I asked her, just out of curiosity, I said, if you got a call like this, and I said, how would you triage it? And she said, oh, just that little, I'd put it maybe as a sick call. And I go, and what if I mentioned, well, I have a strong family history of heart disease? And she's like, I might have upgraded it a little, but no. And people are shocked because I don't lie. I live a life as honest as I possibly can. And some people are really shocked. Like, you lied? Well, there is a time and a place. I'm lying. Like, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Wow. And that's saved my life.
It literally saved your life.
Yeah.
And that gut reaction of like something isn't right.
Yeah.
Knowing your body Wow. Wow.
And I thought a lot about my mom during that time. Did she know something was going on? Or did she believe it's her hiatal hernia? She went downstairs not to bother anybody. She didn't. It was a different time, different place, but is it? How many women today take the kids to school? I'll deal with this later. Or they have to go, whatever it is, and they don't take the time to listen to what's going on.
Yeah, I would say a lot.
So many.
A lot. And of course, your mom was thinking about everybody else's needs.
That's the only thing. Knowing her, it was the middle of the night. She didn't want to disturb my father. And,
wow.
And again, I don't know. But I felt very connected to her while it was happening.
What was the few days after like?
I ended up being in the hospital over Christmas for 7 days. And because there was some healing that wasn't happening as quick as the doctor would have liked. And I was angry. I was depressed. I felt betrayed. I was embarrassed. I was very embarrassed, which is a lot of people didn't understand. It's like I worked so hard for this not to happen. And I couldn't control it. Once again, I am powerless.
Back to that.
And I was really depressed. I was very angry. I was very, I was disappointed. I was disappointed. Yeah.
Wow. And all of that makes complete sense, right? Like from everything that you've shared and everything that you've been through, that those would be the strongest emotions coming up.
Yeah. And this still gets me. When I give my health history, I have to say I have coronary artery disease. And I can't stand that because I'm healthy. My heart is great. Like my heart is doing terrific. I'm very healthy. And so I was trying to get life insurance and they denied me. And so it's like, but you don't understand, you don't understand the whole picture.
Right.
But so, yeah, there's
still some anger there.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. But mostly not. But yeah, every once in a while, it shows up based on a situation. It's not something I sit around and consider, but when something we're talking about it, it's like, yeah. So I had the opportunity in, 2024 to write an article for Syracuse Women about this. And my two aunts, my mom's two sisters, they read it and they're like, you have to do something with this. And I said, okay. So this book I had been writing became this.
Wow.
So, yeah.
So is that other book still waiting in the wings?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Because I think it's something that needs to be said, 13 and adolescence, it's changed, but it hasn't. There's all these other influences now, which I think are so detrimental to the mind of a child who's already so confused and hormonal and all these things. I'm so glad I didn't have that.
Yeah.
Because I would have been one that that would have been my, oh gosh, I can't even imagine what I would have posted.
Oh, I know. I think about that too.
It's scary in itself. But that feeling of not belonging, that feeling of everything that you go through as a 13, 14, 15, 16, 17-year-old, it's still the same.
Yeah.
So I think there's still a place of relevance in my story.
I agree. But this clearly wanted to come out first.
It had to. And I was very fortunate it was able to come out in February, which is Heart Health Awareness Month. And it came out on Go Red for Women Day, which is always the first Friday of every February. And I was able to launch my book, although the books didn't come in. So
it was an incredible book launch.
But it was a great book launch. But if you notice the subtitle, Listen to Your Heart Song, the subtitle is Navigating the Unexpected. And that's what I did.
A book launch with no books.
With no books. But it was a great success. It was so much fun. So much fun.
Where did the title come from?
Okay, so the title comes from, it was a long list of titles. I really wanted The Beat Goes On. And my publishers were not as excited about that as me. And so one day, a friend of mine was taking me to a concert for my birthday. And I decided to listen to some of his music because I only knew a little of him. And he's got a song called Heart Song. And I started listening to it. And it's his dad dies when he's 8 years old. And it's listen to your, when everything's a mess and everything is this, listen to your heart song, listen to your heart song. And I'm like, there it is. There it is.
Wow. It's so fitting.
Yeah.
It's so beautifully fitting.
Yeah.
Like everything else that has aligned with this book becoming what it is. And so I have read it actually twice. Yes. And I recommend all women to read this because it's about the heart. Yes. It's about like the underlying, like know your body, right? Listen to your gut. But there are other storylines and things woven through that speak so deeply to, I'm sure, so many women.
Well, one of the blessings I had was I have a writing buddy who is 87 years old, and she lives in California, and we live very different lifestyles. Her book is coming out in October, which I'm super excited about. And she would read, we would share chapters, and there would be a lot of things she didn't understand, and she'd ask for clarity on things. And it was great because, yes, I do need to explain that better. And she has never gone through a real health crisis. She has never gone through losing a parent young. She has never gone through any kind of addiction. She's like, none of that could she relate, but the emotions, the way I described it, we've all done that. We've all navigated the unexpected.
Yes.
In one form or another. And we do kind of daily. And that was the point that became a big part of this, is to share that. And then it became a voice of advocating for yourself. Like it became such an important thing. Like my mom, go to the doctor, demand for more tests. I've had doctors tell me no. And it's like, what do you care? It's my insurance.
Right.
It's coming out of my pocket. Why are you, for a blood work, simple blood test. And they're like, no, advocate for it. This is your body and nobody knows it better than you. And I just can't emphasize that enough, and so that became that. It kind of like became this soapbox of just going, trust your gut, listen. Other people might doubt it. Do you know how scared I was to go to the hospital that I work at and tell me I'm having an anxiety attack or something? Mm-hmm. Like I would have been so embarrassed. But it would still be worth going to find out. It
saved your life.
If that's all it was, that would have been worth going. I couldn't take the chance of looking stupid, of worrying about any of it.
No.
I had to listen to what was going on.
And the trust you gained in yourself after all of those little moments, right? Like you're gaining more and more self-trust every time you listen to that internal voice, every time you listen to your body, right? Like, and it's communicating with you in a certain way for a reason. So that is like the main thing I pulled from the book as well. And as women, it's trusting that, but then it's also using your voice,
right?
Like using advocating for yourself.
Yes. Using your voice, even when you're told you're being emotional, even when you're told you're exaggerating, you're crazy, you're hysterical, even then, and once we start believing it, once we get that little glimpse of listening and practice, like you can practice when you're driving down the street. I've used this example before. When you're driving down the street, but something is pulling you to go right, but you always go left. You always go left. Why would you possibly go right? listen to that. See where it takes you. See what it takes you away from. You might not see it right away, but maybe you hear it on the news that there was an accident or there was, something that pulled you further away. Or you might see something beautiful over here. You don't know, but practice those tiny little things. Just practice, and over time, you become to believe them more. It's. I was trying to explain to my granddaughter what faith is, and I don't want to bring religion into it because that's not how she's being raised. And faith is simply believing in what you can't see.
Yeah.
And the more we practice and we get to see this, like, oh yeah, like that was spot on. It wasn't a coincidence. Like that was spot on. We start building that magic. We start believing it and building it. And it's so exciting.
It's so exciting. Every time that happens.
Yeah.
It's just validation now. I'm like,
Absolutely.
Oh, I hear you.
Mm-hmm.
I know.
Yep.
I love that.
Yeah. So yeah, that's a biggie.
So what do signs, is there a different set of symptoms that women have versus men, or is it across the board? Like, what should women be looking out for?
Okay, so women may have the same classic symptoms. You absolutely may. Quite often, they're much more subtle.
Okay.
And that's what gets us in trouble. It could be a jaw ache, an ache in the neck. I've talked to many people who have known somebody who has died of a heart attack, has had a heart attack, had one themselves, and they're like, oh, there was this weird ache in the base of my neck.
Huh.
It could, one of the hardest is like this fatigue, like an unusual fatigue. And people are like, but I'm always tired. I'm always doing this. And it's like there's something unusual about it. It's like what I was experiencing. Something was different. I don't know why, but it was different. And if I listen to that, just give yourself a second to listen. What is this different, or am I just fatigued? Or is it fatigue plus I have acid reflux that I never have? Do I have a little heartburn? I don't usually have heartburn, but it's associated with this ache. And the reason women die more often of heart attacks is because they don't get help quick enough. I asked my doctor the other day, why do women present different than men so often? He said, I don't know. And I said, I have been researching, and it keeps taking me to why they die from it, not so much why it's caused. And it hit me because they haven't done the research. They just haven't done the research.
Right. Which is typical for a lot of the information that's out there.
Absolutely. So much, the majority of the information out there is based on men.
Yeah.
But that it hit me when I left the office. I said, of course he doesn't know.
They haven't caught up. We haven't caught up.
Yeah.
Fully. That makes sense.
Yeah. So.
How do people get your book?
Well, I actually have several events coming up at local libraries. They are on, I've got to put them on my website. They are on my Facebook right now. Did they make it over to Instagram? I'm not sure. I'll need to check that. The social media thing is not my strong suit.
You're doing well with it, though.
Well,
you're making gains. I've noticed that.
I'm trying.
You are.
But I'm going to put it on my website today. So I have some library stuff coming up. I have in September, I have 4 libraries. I have Doyle's Books, which is this tiny little bookstore, this independent bookstore in Fayetteville. It's only open on Saturdays and Sundays. It's only been around for 3 years. It's just the quaintest little, coolest little bookstore.
Huh.
I'll be there September 20th at 6. So I don't...
Beautiful. Yes, we will make sure to have this out before.
So that one, he's a neat guy. He's got a cool place. But, you can get it on Amazon. You can get it on bookshop.org, I believe it is. And then I'll be at the Westcott Cultural Festival on September 28th.
Love
So I'm
that
super
festival.
Excited for that. So, yeah.
Good for you. Okay, we will make sure to post all of those links.
And you can order it off my website, too.
Okay.
But, yeah.
So what is your heart song now?
It's It's funny. I was talking to a friend of mine yesterday about passion and purpose. And, you know, sometimes it all goes back there and what lights you up. Talking about this lights me up. You know, it really does.
See that.
It really does. It means so much to me, not just personally, but collectively. You know, I mean, I believe in this. I've had people tell me they've gone to the hospital, and fortunately it is not their heart, but they've gone where they wouldn't have. And but I just want to keep doing this. I want to write some more. I want to speak. I definitely well, you know how that goes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We didn't even get into your TED Talk.
That's okay. But
Oh,
there
my
is
goodness.
TEDx. Permission to grieve.
Please check. We will link your TEDx talk too.
Thank you. I love to speak. I love to get out there and talk and inspire and educate. And I love the conversations that come afterwards. Mm-hmm. Those are just the best.
Yeah. Do you see how it like lights up different things in different people, and then all of a sudden they're like, we have to talk to you about this, or I had this happen. Like,
yes,
I love that too.
Yeah, and what's so funny, like I said earlier, like it might have nothing to do with the book, but it's something they may have felt shame over, but they know they can say it out loud to me, and I'm just like, first of all, probably did it, you know.
Chances are, yep, I've done it.
Yeah. But there's no judgment.
Yeah.
You know, there's honestly no judgment. We are human. You posted something about being messy and human.
Oh, yesterday.
And yeah,
we're human.
We are.
We don't fit nicely into a box.
No, nor should we.
Nor should we. I agree. So I agree.
So this is where the rebel in me still comes out. You know, I get to disrupt the status quo of just speaking my truth and helping others speak theirs.
Yeah.
So
I'm so grateful. I am so unbelievably grateful that you came today. And thank you for all the work you're doing in this community and in this world.
Well, we could go back and have a love fest because
I know we totally could.
I know. I love
just what we do.
That's what we do.
But this is part of community, right?
Yeah.
Loving the hell out of each other.
Absolutely. You know, and that's been the support that I have received from all different walks of life. You know, when I had my book launch, the people that showed up, and yes, you showed up, you know, because you were like, do I stay? But you needed to do what you needed to do, but you were there. And like, it made me think, like, my dad, when he died, his funeral was standing room only. It was huge. They had to open up back walls. There was no room. And he had no idea how he affected people. None. And I got to experience it while I'm alive. You know, it's
pretty powerful.
The support isn't crazy. And if we let people support us, because that's another trap, we got to let them support us.
Yep. Oh, yes.
You know, and I did. I completely let. I allowed, I accepted.
Bring it on.
I surrendered right into it and said, bring it. Yeah.
You received.
I really did.
It's so powerful.
Yeah, it was great. So I'll just keep doing that.
Yeah, I think that's the plan.
It works.
Really proud of you.
Well, thanks, Trace.
You're welcome. All right. Well, we will tag all of your stuff. We'll get your book out there even more because everybody needs to hear this. And we will, Thank you again.
Thank you. This was great. And I love what you're doing. And even when it was the unnamed podcast.
I mean, I kind of liked when it was the unknown.
I did too.
People were like, what are you talking about? I'm like, well, it didn't have a name for the first because I didn't know what we were creating here until it did. So.
Well, I love you, my friend.
I love you too. All right. We are